Being a makeup artist for 16 years, I have mastered a couple eye looks that I'm obsessed with. So I'm gonna share with you how I complete one of my favorite matte eyeshadow looks with a smoked out liner and some individual lashes. So follow along with me as I show you step by step on how I complete it. Let's go. So now let's begin with the eyebrows. That is the first thing that I like to do after we skin prep. So I already prepped her skin. So if you want to see how I prep someone who has combo skin, as well as completing her entire face makeup, watch my next video next week and you're going to see step by step on how I prep her skin and how I complete her face makeup. So the first thing that I'm going to do is start off with her eyebrows, because I like to see my craft come together slowly but surely. And I don't want her eyebrows to be empty. I want them to be perfect right when I'm going into eyeshadow, so everything can look seamless and put together. So I'm gonna start off by using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, and I'm using the color Soft Brown. But before I start this, I am going to comb her eyebrows upward. The reason why I like to comb her eyebrows upward is because I want to see where they naturally land, okay? So when you get out of bed and you're about to do your makeup, you want to make sure that you comb your eyebrows because they are going to be everywhere. And I'm just going to make sure to tame the longer hairs that are sticking upward. Turn this way. Gonna fluff them up. Any long hairs that need to be tamed, just slowly join them in. But I still want to keep that fluff and that fullness, because when you comb them upward, you're gonna see that your brows definitely look a lot fuller. So I'm going to grab my Petri dish and I'm gonna write on a flat surface. You can literally use any flat surface that you have, a mirror, anything. I like to write on a flat surface because if I just open up the top and use it directly, the tip is rounded, so I don't want it to apply like a crayon. I want it to apply very nice and sharp, so that is why I like to flatten it first. So I'm gonna start off where her natural brow hairs start. So where her first one is here, that is my guide to gently create a line. And I want it to be the same length. I'm gonna connect it here and go all the way down till we hit the end of her eye. That is gonna be your indicator to end the tails, okay? So after that is traced on the bottom, we are gonna go into the top. So I'm not gonna go all the way in the front because I don't like a boxy brow. I like to go right in the middle, but I'm still in where the hair is. And I'm gonna trace it all the way down. So Megan has her eyebrows microbladed. Well, she microbladed them a long time ago, but I can see the shape that they created because that's the shape that she wanted. And that is where naturally her hairs would be if every single hair was intact before the microblading, okay? So we do a line down here and then we start tracing upward. And the only time I actually fill it in with the pencil is if there's actual patches of no hair. That is the only time that I do that because I like to fill it in with eyeshadow powder. And the same here. Thank you, Creative Beauty, for sponsoring this video. Now, if you are watching this video right now, you are probably an everyday woman who wants to learn tips and tricks on how to apply makeup on yourself, and I hope these videos are so helpful for you. Or you are probably a makeup artist wanting to learn new tips and tricks to advance your skills. Well, I am working on a 4-week program that's going to change your life in this industry. So I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know, my blueprint on how I became a successful makeup artist, and I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to show you everything behind the scenes of being an admin, contracts, timelines. You will also receive one-on-one training with me where I teach you how to create a luxury makeup kit, as well as hands-on training with me teaching you my signature makeup looks. I believe this 4-week program can change your life. If you are ready to take the next step, hit the link in my description and join my waitlist. So I am going to do the same thing on this side, lightly. And I'm gonna take a step back and I'm gonna pull her head up just a little bit, and I'm gonna see, are they going the same direction? Because sometimes eyebrows, they can look like this. So you wanna make sure from the naked eye if they look like they're going the same direction, okay? We're gonna go here, trace it all the way down to the very end. Make sure it ends right in there. And then we're gonna do the top. Again, we are just doing this a little bit. We are just tracing her natural shape. When it comes to brows, you want them to look related. They're not gonna be twins, but you want them to look as related as possible. Make them look like sisters, okay? So I'm going to add just a tiny bit of hair, like by just lightly feathering it in the front, because she didn't have a lot of hair here, so we are going to mimic some hair there and just a tiny bit here. That is the only time that I actually use this pencil, is if we need a little bit more hair here, or again, if we're gonna fill in little areas where there is hair missing, just like that. So I'm gonna use my custom brow palette that I created for MAC, which I have colors for blondes, for brunettes, for redheads. I have it all in this palette. So I'm gonna use an angled brush, and I'm gonna pick up the color Coquette. And I'm only gonna pick up a little bit at a time, because it's better to add than to remove. And wherever you place the color first, that is where most product will be. So I always start at the very ends of the eyebrow. So at the very end, and gradually move my way up to the front. And whatever is left over in my brush, where that line that we created in the very beginning, we're gonna place our brush there and start lifting upward, and then start using the point of the brush to kind of feather the front. Because I don't want a lot of product in the front, but I still want it to look like every hair is intact. Okay, now for the next one. Pick up product, start at the end, pick up as I go. Brows are so important when doing a makeup application. So you wanna make sure that you match the hair as perfect as you can. So now moving on, we are going to highlight underneath the eyebrow. So I personally like to carve underneath, but I don't want it to look super boxy, and I don't want it to look really harsh, but I want them to look really clean still. So I'm gonna use the MAC Studio Finish Concealer in the color NW20. So when it comes to underbrow highlight, I only like to use colors that are warm. I don't like to use something that's cool, because we're not yellow under here. So I like to go in with a little bit more of a warmer color, and I'm using a really small brush from MAC. I believe this is called the 231 brush, I'm not sure, but all of these products will be listed on my description. Okay, so I am going to use the tip of this brush and make sure that I have a good amount on there, not too much. I'm gonna start midway, not all the way in the front. I'm gonna start midway, and I'm gonna trace right underneath the brow. I'm not touching the brow pencil at all. I'm going right underneath it. I'm like barely touching the very rim of the brow pencil, but not on top of it. I'm just going right underneath it. So I'm gonna start in the middle and go all the way down, and then I'm gonna start dragging it out, and then I'm gonna use my finger to blend it out and press it right in here at the ends, because I don't want it to look super harsh, but I want them to look clean. So this will give you like a natural lift. And I also don't like to use shadow underneath the eyebrow. I only like to clean it up. So this is my little eyeshadow trick. Just like this. Perfect. Now I don't want it to be like a really harsh arch here, so I'm gonna just round it out a tiny bit on this area. And then same on this part. I'm just gonna go over the little arch underneath. Okay, so now I am going to go in with eyeshadow primer. I personally love to use the MAC paint pots, and this is in the color Painterly. So it looks just like this. I worked at MAC for 5 years, so there's a lot of MAC products that I'm obsessed with that I cannot break out of. So, you know, I'm like, if it's not broken, why fix it? So I am going to scoop up some Painterly on my brush, and I am using a flat 242 brush from MAC. I like to use a flat brush when it comes to eyeshadow because I want to make sure that I grip enough product, and when I apply it on the lid, there is enough and it's just not feathering everywhere with the fluffy brush. So I'm gonna pick up some Painterly, and I am going to focus on the lid first and make sure that her lid has a lot of product. Okay, and after the lid is completely covered, I'm gonna start blending out whatever is left over on the sides. But I'm not gonna go really high where I place the concealer because I want that to be a highlight. So I'm just gonna marry the two and stop it here where I blended it out with my finger. And don't be afraid to go all the way in the inner corner. I wanna make sure that this entire area is sealed. So here, I trace my eyebrow. Right now it looks really carved, but I only apply that because when I go in with eyeshadow, I'm also gonna apply shadow there, and I want it to stick beautifully. So right now they're gonna look really carved, but the end result will not. It will not look like that. And apply a good amount on the eyelid because it really helps the shadow to grip. I'm using the color Painterly as well on Megan because it's a perfect neutral. And I also love using this one because it removes any discoloration on the lids. Perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect right in here because all of that will be blended out. Make sure we blend out the ends here. Okay, look up for me. And I'm also gonna apply some right underneath her eyes. just like so. Okay. After we apply eyeshadow primer, I like to set it with powder. And I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury #1. You don't have to use this specific powder. I just like to use a powder to set, but I like using a pressed powder, not a loose powder. So I'm just gonna use a fluffy crease brush from MAC 286. All of my brushes are the OG MAC brushes. I love them so much. I have brushes that I have been using for like 10 plus years. So the reason why I like to set it first is because when I go in with eyeshadow, I want it to have a very smooth foundation, and I don't want it to get patchy with any concealer or eyeshadow primer that is on the lid. I want it to be seamless and I want it to blend beautifully. So that is why I apply a little bit of powder on the lid. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with this cool palette from Makeup by Mario. Love this palette. It's so beautiful. Can you tell I love it? We're hitting pan. Okay, so I'm first going to start off by using this color here at the end with the same exact crease brush. So just a very natural brown. Wherever I place product first, that's where most will be. So remember not to place in the middle or in the front. I always place in the ends. Right in here where her last lash is, I'm gonna stick my brush there and open for me, Megan. So right in here, where her bone is, this is where I am going to place my brush because this is where her natural crease is. And you could do windshield wipers, you could do circular motions, whatever floats your boat. Then, whatever's left over, I am going to diffuse the very front of the eyebrow. So I blend it right in here in the front because I really want it to be seamless when I start blending it into the nose. I don't want any harsh lines or harsh stops from the shadow. I want everything to blend beautifully. So that is why I always buff out right in front of the eyebrow. Okay, then I'm gonna go in on the other side. So this is a very natural color. For the crease, we're gonna work with mattes because I just love a matte eye. I feel like you can never go wrong with a matte eye. And I love a little bit of cool tones too. Just like that. I'm actually gonna warm it up just a tiny bit. And I am gonna use the color Uninterrupted by MAC, which is a very warm and cool tone. Had a baby. I would say it's more on the cool side, but it has such a pretty finish to it. I love it. So I'm just gonna apply this right on top in the exact same area where I first placed the brown, and going up to the brow as well. And after I have that blended, I always make sure I feather out here because I also want this to be blended seamless with the contour. Now I'm going to change brushes. I'm gonna use something a little bit thinner. So this is my crease brush, but I'm gonna go in now with the 221, which is a little bit slimmer, because I want to control the amount of smoke that's going to be here at the end of her eye. I'm gonna use a little bit of this color here and a little bit of this dark color here. And I'm going to just feather it right above the lash line here. I'm doing like a greater than sign right at the end. And I really like to focus it right here on the lash line because I want it to look like it's blending beautifully coming from the lash line and up to the crease. I would say my style of makeup is seamless. I want everything to look seamless, like you didn't try hard to do your makeup because everything just looks like it blends and it doesn't look separated or any harsh lines. That is my style. I love making sure everything just looks blown out. Okay, so I'm not gonna do too much more here. Open. Just to give you just a tiny bit of a definition. We don't want a lot. And the same colors on this side. Remember, a little greater than. I call this brush my little magic eraser because this will help to diffuse any shadow that may have fallen on the outer crease or on the lid a little bit. So I like to always use these two back and forth to make sure that everything is blended beautifully. Remember, we're gonna drag it out here. And when I do the crease, I kind of go midway when I'm using like a little bit of a darker shade, just to make sure that it blends with my crease color. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the lid color. So that exact brush that I used to apply primer, we're gonna use the same one. It already has primer in it, it has primer on it, so it's gonna pick up shadow beautifully. So I'm gonna use this middle color, or the second color, and the first one together. And I'm just going to pat it on the lid. So remember earlier when I told you what I like using a flat brush because it really grips the shadow? It really does, and it helps for the pigmentation of the shadow to really stand out too, because it's so flat. So I feel like you can pick up some good product on there. So I'm first making sure that I apply it all over the lid. This is where the important part is. Open, because that is what you're going to see when she's looking directly at someone. Close. So I want to make sure that this area is bright. Then whatever is left over, I start patting it towards the, like barely marrying the crease there, because I don't want it to go too high. And I go back in with my little magic eraser crease brush that I was telling you guys about. And I'm just going to dust that area there. A little trick is if you have hooded eyes, which Megan does not, but if you have hooded eyes, open, it really helps to use a light eyeshadow just like this to use on your lid, because it will really help to open up your eyes. And when you apply liner, you'll really see the dimension. And I'm just using the patting motion. And I also stop like right before I hit the crease at the end, because I don't want to remove what we have at the very end of the eye. Turn this a little bit close. Okay, open. Gorge. Okay, turn this up. I picked up a little bit of the crease color just to marry the two. Put a little bit here. When it comes to eyeshadow, eyeliner, eyebrows, you are constantly playing ping pong because you want to make sure that they both look even as much as possible. I even like to pick up a little bit of the lighter color and really focus it right here in the inner part and bring it up. So then when she opens up her eyes, the lightness really helps to bring in towards the middle of her eye and also the very front where her tear duct is. Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with the Uninterrupted color. And just apply some on the crease. Blending is the secret, guys. If you have not already picked up, I forever blend. It makes such a huge difference. Okay. So now open for me, Megan. Beautiful. Okay. And the reason too, as to why I do eyeshadow first is because all of this would be on her concealer and we do not want that. We would have to go back and clean it up. So I'm just gonna grab a makeup wipe and I'm gonna stick my finger right inside where both water lines meet, right in the middle. And I'm just gonna gently go outward, go straight. I'm not gonna go up, I'm just gonna go straight. I'm gonna remove anything that has fallen underneath. Same on this side, just go out. The reason why I like to go out is because I don't want it to look super carved. When I do the eyeliner and when I also bring in the shadow on the bottom, I don't want it to look so carved. I want it to just look really blended. So I don't want that harsh line going up. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with a very thin brush and I'm gonna use the Maybelline Tattoo Studio eyeliner. It is literally the best eyeliner. I have tried Bobbi Brown, I have tried Inglaw, I have tried every single liner and I always go back to this one because it's just so black and creamy. I love it so much. So I'm gonna use a very, very thin brush. I'm gonna apply it on the back of my hand. And I'm gonna make sure that we get this brush nice and juicy, always, because if you go in with a dry eyeliner, oh, it's gonna be so rough. You're gonna be so bumpy, and you know, makeup artists, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna pick some up, and I'm gonna start at the end, so close your eye for me. I'm gonna start at the very end, and make a nice little line open. I like to do this first because then I could see how thick I can go on my bride's eye. So I'm not going so thick or too thin. I can see what her eye can take. So now I'm gonna slowly start going towards the inner corner. Okay, open. Okay, look down. And I'm going by the tear duct. Open. Just a little bit at a time. Because if I just try to do one quick liner, I don't want to mess up. So I like to just slowly create my line a little bit as I go. You want to get it as seamless and straight as possible. Okay, open. Beautiful. I'm gonna have you look straight. I'm gonna go in with the wing. Whatever's left over on my brush, I'm gonna remove it. I'm gonna stick my brush right inside where the two water lines meet. And I'm gonna make a line going diagonal as if these two would eventually meet. Okay, I want you to look down, not at the end point of that line, but right underneath it. I'm gonna stick my brush there, and I am going to make a line going all the way down to where we created the very first line. Open. I had to pick up more gel because it started getting a little dry. So right in here, I'm gonna make a line going all the way down till we meet what we created. And you're gonna have a little empty triangle, long triangle. So we are just gonna fill it in and then slightly pull the line, just like that. Open. Beautiful. So I'm gonna go in with my angled brush, and I am going to pick up this dark brown from the Mario palette, and I'm gonna start going over it. Just gonna lightly pat it, just so it won't be super harsh and black. Okay. Perfect. Done. I like to do this because I want to diffuse it a little bit, make it look a little like a shadowy, blurred out liner and not so perfected. So I'm gonna go and just go over it right to the middle of the line. Open. Perfect. I'm gonna do the bottom a little bit, look straight. Just a tiny bit, and I'm gonna drag it down with my point. I'm gonna go in with my little concealer brush that I used first to highlight underneath the brow. So I'm gonna clean it off. I'm gonna stick it right at the end, look straight for me, right at the end where your wing will be. And I'm gonna literally press it really hard and drag it down till I have that really long line. And I'm just gonna grab my finger and remove it. I still want that extension to be there so it looks really sharp. But if you ever mess up or if you wanna clean it, I just use a really small concealer brush, wet it with my makeup wipe, and boom, extend it really hard. Not really hard where you're like scraping her eye off, but just enough where you're literally pulling the liner so it looks really, really sharp. Okay, now off to the next eye. Okay, picking up some more. Too close. Open. Perfect. Have you turn this way? So remember, little line out, then you gradually start coming towards the tear duct. Open. Then you can make it as thick as you want it, as long as her eye can totally take it. Look at me. Open. Gonna go over it to make it a little thicker. Open. Okay. Look straight. So now when I do this side, I'm gonna make a very gentle, soft line because if I ruin it, I could remove it. The reason why I say that is because I take a step back to make sure that they are going the same direction. If one's like this and one's like this, I gotta remove that part. So that's why I make it very, very light when doing this side. Okay, and they look like they're going about the same direction. So look down. And remember, not at the very tip of that, but right underneath it. We are going to make a line and go down to connect what we just created. Look at me. Look down. Okay, look at me really quickly. I'm gonna go in with my angled brush again with that dark brown, and I'm just going to press it. I'm not too worried about making the black liner super, super perfection, because when we do this on top of it, it covers every imperfection that you did and it softens it. Okay. Then you grab your concealer brush, remove it on the wipe, look straight, and right underneath, you are going to press hard and drag out, grab your finger, and melt in the extra that is left over. Look down. Look straight. And I love this part because you can cut off as much as you need on the ends to make sure that it matches the other eye. Look down. Yep. Beautiful. Now after applying that, I'm gonna remove any shadow from the eyeliner that has fallen. Okay. Now for some tight lining, I'm gonna use Makeup by Mario pencil eyeliner. Love this pencil. It's in the color Super Black. And I'm just gonna warm it up on the back of my hand first to make sure that it's gonna apply smoothly. And I'm gonna have you look down. I'm gonna lift her lid gently and tight line, which is apply liner right here. This is gonna help her lashes to look really full and dark. Do you totally see the difference? My gosh. You could see her skin underneath there. Here, it just looks really dark and full. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of mascara. I'm gonna use my favorite mascara, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise in waterproof. And I'm just gonna comb out, look down, any shadow that may have fallen on the lashes. So it doesn't have to be super perfect. I'm just gonna remove any shadow that may have fallen. And I'm going from the root up. So we want to comb every lash. Down. And even the ones in the inner corner. Oh, honey child. You are ready to go. You could just put this mascara and go. So pretty. So now I'm gonna remove these eye patches. Thank you, eye patches, for hydrating those eyes. Okay. This is my favorite part. I love to apply eyelashes on my bride, especially these individual ones, naked extensions. Oh my goodness. These are the most prettiest individual lashes that I have used. And I'm gonna go in with Duo Glue. And I like it to dry black so then it could blend in with the eyeliner. So you wanna make sure that your client does not have a latex allergy. If she does, they do offer a latex-free Duo Glue. So I like to just pick one up, pick up some glue in the back of my hand, and I'm gonna place it at the very end of her lashes. Okay? The very last one at the end. Actually, wait, no, I'm gonna do some 14 mm's in there. So I'm gonna go in right after the 12, and I'm gonna stick it right above where her lashes are. Literally right on top. It's gonna look like you're putting them on her lashes. You're putting it right inside here where the liner is, where the liner and the lashes meet. So open. Okay, perfect. So what I like to do is I like to grab the longer ones. So right now I'm using the 14s. I'm gonna use the 14s, 12s, and 10s. I like to apply them a little bit at a time in every area first, okay? So open. I'm gonna apply the 14s. I applied one at the end. I'm gonna apply one at the almost end. I'm gonna apply one in the middle. Open. The reason why I like to do this is because now I'm gonna fill it in with the other sizes, and it's gonna look very wispy, and it's not gonna look one size of lash. So now I'm gonna go in with the 12 to fill in, look down. And I'm gonna put them in the little gaps. Oh, wispy, wispy, hello. So pretty. Okay, can you tell I'm starting to get excited with the lashes because everything starts looking so beautiful. Everything's coming together. Look down. I'm gonna grab a 12 to put right in front of the 14. Look at me. And when it comes to these, you kind of have to play with them a little bit because you kind of want to mimic a natural lash without overdoing it. I'm gonna go in with the 10 now and put it right in the front of her lash. Open. Look down. Look at me. So when you're doing individual lashes, I feel like it takes a little bit longer because you want to make sure that you place them in all the right places. Oh, she's so pretty. So remember, I did 12 at the very end, then I did 14, 14, and 14, and then I filled it in with a little bit of a 12, 12s, 12s. A little bit on the inner is going to be the 10 mm's. And I just kind of fill little gaps with the 12s. Look at me really quickly. To make sure everything is flowing evenly. Look at me, beautiful. At the end, I'm even gonna curl them with my half lash. So one eyelash from one eye may feel more fuller than the other. So what I did on this side of her eye, I may have to do less or I may have to do more depending on how this eye will take the lashes on this side. So there is science to this, guys. We are artists. And I don't use tweezers. I just like to use my fingers. I find that's a lot easier for me. Look at me really quickly. We're loving this. We're loving this. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with another 14. Look down. Look at me. Look down. Okay. I'm gonna go in with a 12. So remember we did a 12, then I did 14, 14, 14, just like how I did in the front. I mean in the other eye. And I'm going in with a 12. Look at me. It's so funny because my clients, who I've been doing for a long time, or just in general, just like my clients, they just know. When I start going, girl, looks good. They're like, okay, it looks good. And then if I don't say anything, they'll be like, Jasmine, does it look ugly because I don't hear your commentary? And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I'm just concentrating. So it's funny. Look down. Let's see, look at me. Look down. Look at me. I need to put, let me see. Look down. Let me put a little 10 in here. Look at me. Look down. Look at me. So this one, I really didn't need to do much as I did that one. And it looks beautiful. So like I said, with individuals, it's gonna take sometimes a little bit longer because again, your lashes are different on both of your eyes. So you wanna make sure that you make them as related as possible. They look perfect. Okay. So now, let's move on to the underneath the eyes. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of liquid liner and I'm using the Sephora Noir Black thin brush. I'm gonna apply some on the back of my hand and I'm just gonna use the same exact thin brush that I used for the gel and I'm going to go over the lash line to make it look really dark. So close. It's all about doing the extra details that will make you stand out as an artist, taking the extra mile. Open, yes, open. And it just makes the lashes combine better with the lashes, the falsies with the lashes, your naturals, and just right on the lash line. Look at me, look down. Perfection. I still want it to look diffused, so I don't want to do too much. So that is why I also like to use the lash glue that dries black. Because if you use one that dries kind of clear or white, I feel like you can see it. It's a lot noticeable. So I like using the black. All right, perfect. Gorge. So the same color that I used on her crease, I'm gonna put underneath her eyes. So I started with this light one and I'm using the Morphe brush M302. I love these Morphe brushes, by the way, okay? They're a great dupe for MAC and the cost is fantastic. So I'm gonna pick some up at the very end of her eye. I am going to drag all the way to the front. So remember, this was the very first crease color. Same on this side, all the way down to the inner corner. Then I'm gonna go in with Uninterrupted, okay, which was the brown, the second crease color that we applied. Same on this side. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the Mario Nude Pencil, and I'm gonna gently open up her eye and just apply it on her waterline. Just to help to open up the eye, not too much. Turn this side, turn this side. Okay. And this part here, you want to make sure, look up, that you just remove anything, any lash that may have stuck to the bottom lash. That happens to all of us. You know, makeup artists, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, perfect. So now I am about to go into her skin application so you can see how I finalize these beautiful eyes with mascara, but I don't want to put mascara on just yet until I have the concealer. But this is what the top of her eyes look like, a very matte, seamless, blown out eyeliner. And I'm also, just so you can see, I'm gonna pop in the color Nylon from MAC, which looks like this shimmery cream shadow. And I'm gonna use a little bullet brush from MAC as well. I think this is the number 219. And I want you to look straight. And I'm gonna stick it right on the inner corner here to really open up the eye even more, just a smidge. And you can totally see a difference with just that little dot. Even though everything else is matte, I'm just applying a little bit of this right on the inner corner, just to give it a little extra poppity pop. And you see how it opens up her eyes so much? My goodness. Okay, so this is what the top of her eyes look like. They look absolutely beautiful. Just a very beautiful matte with a pop of shimmer right in the inner corner. But wait, we're not done just yet. I'm gonna apply her foundation, concealer, and all of that good stuff. And I'm gonna show you how to wrap up these eyes with a little bit of mascara to top it off. And we're back. She has on her foundation, her concealer, her powder, bronzer, blush, all of the good stuff. And if you wanna see a step-by-step on how I did this, follow my next video and you'll be able to see how I achieved it. But right now, I am going to finish up the eyes so you can see how I put a bow to this look. Okay, so I call this my final steps to make everything look together and perfect. So I'm going to use a bar soap from Whole Foods. It's literally a bar soap. It's a glycerin soap. I'm gonna use a setting spray. You could use any setting spray of your liking. And I am going to use a mascara spoolie. And I'm just gonna remove some product. And this is gonna be my brow gel. So I'm gonna start from the front and I am going to lift just exactly how I did in the beginning when I lifted the brow with the brow pencil. But this time it's gonna be with the gel. And this is what's gonna lock everything in place so they will stay. And any powder that may have gotten on there will be removed, and any long hairs, just tame them down. And this is the part where you kind of see if you need to fill in the brows a little bit more, because when you have your eyes done, sometimes it could overpower your brows. So I just kind of go back and fill in little areas. You could use your powder if you need more, if you want more coverage, but I don't really want her to have a very strong brow. So I'm just going to feather in areas that needed a little bit. Okay. Now, the exact same shadow that we used on the bottom kind of got removed because of the concealer. So we're gonna go back and apply some more. So I'm gonna use that small brush, that Morphe brush that I was telling you about. And I go all the way to the tear duct. I'm gonna go in with the Uninterrupted from MAC right underneath. Okay. All the way to the tear duct too. Oh, what a bride, what a bride. So pretty. Perfect. And my little tip is, we're gonna have fine lines underneath our eyes. So I like to camouflage with the shadow to bring it down just a little bit more with a fluffy brush. And bring it down just a tiny bit more. Just so I can camouflage with the fine lines. And I'm gonna go in a tiny bit with the nylon on the inner corner. Then I'm gonna go in with some mascara. And I'm using a very thin mascara wand because I want to get into every single lash that's on the bottom. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then whatever's left over on your mascara wand, I like to apply some on the top with the falsies and your natural to blend them together. Okay, look at me. Mm-hmm. Okay, look straight. Mm-hmm. You could even curl them as well. I like to use a half lash. You can do this before you apply mascara. Look down. Curve them together, give you a little extra Okay, open. Just a tiny bit. I like using a half lash for this. It's a lot easier. Just to marry the two together. Yep, perfect. So now that her eyes are completely done, I added her lip, I did her chest makeup. She is ready to roll and walk down the aisle. So I hope that you enjoyed this beautiful eye look that I created on my beautiful model, Megan. I hope you enjoyed. Catch you in the next one. Okay, girl.